Hello, hello, hello. Happy day, people. This is Tea and Cornbread, a conversation with Shawne and Tracy. I am Shawne Johnson. I am Tracy Davis-Johnson. And our podcast is about having conversations with people 50 and over, where they're talking about their wealth, their health, and their life changes. So like, share, and subscribe. All right. Welcome to your 50 Now What? And we're having a conversation with Tea and Cornbread with your host, Shawne Johnson.
And Tracy Davis-Johnson.
Yes. How are you, Tracy?
I am doing well today. And you, my dear?
I am doing well. I can't complain.
Yes.
So, we want to talk about current topics today.
Yes, ma'am.
Current topic that we've been talking about for a couple of days is the banned books, right? We're not going to go in what the banned books are, but just like, this, I get so frustrated. Right. I get so frustrated. My favorite phrase to those that say, we need to fight about this, that, and the other. And I beg to differ. Because I said, I don't know why we want to keep making people do right by us that don't want to, that don't like us, they don't want to do right by us. I'm not putting everybody in one category. What I'm saying is those powers that be that are doing these things with banning the book because they don't want history to be told. And the devil is always busy, right? So my frustration comes from us being sidetracked with the conversation as opposed to what is the solution. Let's not get sidetracked. Let's think about what is the solution. And then we talk about when we grew up, right? We had all of these different organizations and community organizations and clubs that made sure we were not idle in the street by just being out there with nothing to do after school. We had after school programs that we were tutored. We learned, different things. I know with my grandmother exposed us to so many different things, from things like going to plays or like with tennis, thinking about tennis. Never realized that they said tennis was a white man's sport. But in our town, I only saw black people.
Yeah. See, I don't know if I agree with that. I understand what you're saying, but I don't know if I totally agree with that, because I do agree that you do have a tennis great. And like you said, your grandmother took kids all the time and exposed them to different arts, theater, different events. So, and again, we're going back to talking about the banning of the books and why the powers that be want to ban them. We all understand and know why, because, they'll say whatever their reasons are. And I was doing some reading up on it earlier, and they were saying, some of them are pornographic, some of them are violent, some of them are inappropriate. It's history. It happened, and we cannot erase it.
Nope.
And when you start to try to erase us, no, exactly. Pornographic in what way? I can make a statement, or I could show you something, and you could make a judgment call. And who are you, like you said, the powers that be, to say what is or what is not?
Right.
And then you horn in on a certain group of people. As you said before, and we've talked about this plenty of times, I'm not opposed to any race at all, but I do think we need to do better by our children, by our grandchildren, by our neighborhoods. We don't have that anymore. We don't have Big Brother looking out for Big Brother. We've talked about that, and that's part of the problem. A lot of the funding, we've lost a lot of that, so a lot of the kids don't have after school programs. With everything that's going on, though, if we come together as a community and make it happen, it can happen.
It can happen.
Stop trying to kick down doors and saying, let me in.
Right.
How about if I build something next door to you and I go in my own door?
Exactly. Because that's how it was when we were younger. And it had nothing to do with race. It had all to do with community. It had all to do with making sure, like you said, Big Brother takes care of little brother. or neighbors took care of neighbors' kids and things like that. We all took care of each other, right? We all found a solution for the things that we wanted to make sure we protected our kids.
For the greater good. It's about the no.
It's for the greater good, exactly,
it's
right?
For the
So
greater good.
it's nothing to do with race. Yes, it does, but it doesn't. It does in this sense where they're banning all the black books. They're
exactly.
Banning that have anything to do with black history or any of those things, right? And that's just from articles that we're reading. You know what I mean? But my thing is that's another thing to sidetrack us. We need to take responsibility for what's happening, right? We need to create that solution because there is so many elite organizations out there that's 50 years old, 100 years old, whatever, right? And back then they were created because we were separated. We couldn't be a part of, that group over there because we didn't look like them or whatever. But when that empowered our own. Period. We are responsible for this, right?
We are responsible for ourselves. We are
responsible, but no buts. And okay, when you look at education starts in the home. It don't start out in the home. It starts in the home, right? Your infant. You're teaching. You're the first teacher in your infant's
You're the
life.
first teacher. Exactly.
You're the first.
You are.
Right? You should also be the last and the most influential. You really should. I'll never forget. I asked this young lady to give me the time, and she looked at the clock on the wall and she says, "I don't know how to tell time from that type of clock." I took that clock off the wall and taught her within a half hour how to tell time.
Yes.
I didn't say it, but her mother said, I said, why? How come she doesn't know how to tell? She said she goes to school. I'm like, really? I can't believe you just said that.
Wow.
Well, I took the clock off the wall. I didn't ask questions. I just took action, right? This is what I'm saying. Take action. Okay, buy those books. All of those organizations in the area that, are in the area where they're banning these books and things like that, the churches and the like I said, the elite organizations and the sororities and fraternities and all of that, right? We feed our children. We always make sure they get food and this, that, and the other. So all we got to do is just add this to it. When these kids they want to learn about our history, we need to teach our history. I don't know why.
But like you said, it should already be added though. It shouldn't. You said we need to add this to it. We should already be adding it.
Right. Exactly.
And somewhere along the way, we lost the way.
It should be part of that after school program. It should be part of Sunday school. It should be part of, you know what I mean? It should be
but even, when you came home from school, when I came home from school, what did you do? You put those books down and did your homework. After the homework, you had to do whatever. Like there was order. There was, what I mean? And I think we kind of lost some of that. But going, just talking about the banning of the books, reading is so, so important.
It is.
And this phone that we just, this, like these electronics, you have audible books now, and the children don't even have to read. And it has to be something that I really, really need to look into. I have to research. I need to know ASAP for me to listen to an Audible. I am not knocking it, but I don't believe that our children should grow up using Audible books. They need to read. They need to see the words. They need to know how to spell them. They need to know how they look up the definitions.
And so even with you saying that, I agree and I disagree. Reason why I'm saying this is Audible, yes, for learning or for adults or whatever, you know what I mean, is another tool. That's it. We have these tools that we can use, right? One thing, just Easter. We have a 14-year-old granddaughter. She don't want no Easter basket full of candy. Maybe she does. I don't know. I just thought she didn't. So in my head, I'm like, let me find a book for her. So I'm at in the store, and it had a bunch of books and everything. All the books for that age group were about witchcraft or about fantasy about whatever. There was nothing really. I didn't like the covers. Covers are what attract me to a book anyway, right?
Okay.
In the title. But it was all.
But wait, I have to stop you though. But is that being fair to the book, to the author? Because
Not
the cover doesn't attract you?
right. I'm
You
just
gotta
saying
kind of,
I was looking
yeah.
for a book that I thought would be deemed appropriate for her, right?
Okay.
Not because, you know what I mean? And to me, it just looked like witchcraft and it looked like, to me, demonic. I'm just going to say it that way.
Okay.
It
Okay.
just
Okay.
demonic. It did not look like, and she might be interested in those fantasy type books or
That wasn't
whatever.
what you wanted. You wanted more something more educational,
Exactly.
something more,
But I did
yeah.
find for the 5-year-old, they had a book on Michelle Obama. They had a book on the abolitionists. They had a book. And so I bought all those little books. But that's for the five
Yes.
year old. The 14-year-old,
Mm-hmm.
it would have been simple to just read it in two seconds. But still, what I'm saying is I took charge for doing that. Even with my kids, they couldn't use the word bored with me when they were young. Go get a book. First thing I would say, go get a book.
Yeah.
We went to the library, we went to the bookstore, and things like that. And even with, growing up, there was no such thing as sitting in front of the TV. You either went outside or
Mm-hmm.
you did something educational, even games, and all of these things. Now they have a black version of Monopoly.
Oh wow, I didn't know
I,
that.
I gotta find it. I just saw something on there. But my point for having this conversation is let's not get sidetracked. Let's just take initiative. Let's just get into action. If they don't want to teach our kids, we need to teach our kids because
But
remember, all of this stuff
well,
was
you're giving them that power though, and them, I don't know who them are.
given
I mean the
who
higher
what power. What do you
education.
mean?
You said if they don't want to teach our kids, we have to remember what you started off saying. It's not their issue; it's our
Right,
issue.
right. It's not.
It's not their issue. And
It's
we're not
ours.
talking about segregation. We're not talking, when I say, if you don't want to let me in the door, I'll build one next to you. I want the same
Right.
accommodations if you don't want to let me in. I don't want to force myself anywhere I'm not welcome.
I'm not
Or you're
welcome.
not,
Right.
yes, or you're not going to make me and my family and my children feel comfortable. I
Right.
just don't want to do that. But at the same time, there's a flip side to that. I want those same accommodations that you have over here.
Mhm.
And I
Mhm.
think that's where everybody is getting misconstrued, or they're
Okay.
going left,
Mhm.
because you could be in all the books you want to be in. Not for my children, you can't. You can't
Right.
tell me what to teach my children or what not to teach my
Right.
grandchildren, what not to tell my nieces and my nephews at the end. Who are you?
Right.
You are not the
Right.
end all or be all. And that's why I say, when we say they, whoever they are, we're giving
Whoever
them
they
that
are.
power, and we have to take it back. We do.
Mhm.
We have to take it back. When
Yeah.
they did not want us to read,
What
what did
did
they
we do?
say?
We figured it out
And
though.
that's what I'm saying. Put it in a book, because they don't read as they thought, but we do read.
Exactly.
We do
Exactly.
read. And I just want to go back to something you said about the Audible books. I'm not knocking Audible, but I think when you see a word, you don't know how to pronounce it. You got to sound it
Yeah.
out. You
Right.
learn how to spell it. That's what I
Right.
mean. Like I said, I'm not opposed to Audible, and it does work as an educational tool also. But I think as children and growing up, when you start to be familiar with words and how to pronounce words, you're not going to know every single word. Please don't get me wrong. But when you're reading it, you're spelling it, you're seeing it written in different sentences, you learn. This is how you
Right.
learn. That's why reading
So,
is so important. And they
but
don't want
the
us to do it.
purpose of banning these books, let's go back to that. The purpose of banning these books is they don't want people to know the truth. They
Yeah.
don't want their kids to
Mm-hmm.
know the truth. My thing is man up and tell your kids the truth.
Yeah.
Because no, it may not have been you, but it's your ancestors.
It happened though. It
It,
happened. You
yeah,
cannot erase it. And that's what they're
exactly.
trying to do. Erase
Right.
it.
They're trying to erase it everywhere. But how are you going to erase something that you keep still doing, that you keep doing?
And they're doing it right now by saying, okay, we
All
don't
kinds
want this
of ways.
because, and you're, like you said, they're making excuses as to why. And those
Yep.
excuses make no sense to me at this point.
None
They make
whatsoever.
no, so
No,
yeah.
no, no. I saw someone, they made a comment. They said, they want to ban African American history, um, in what is it called, AP classes, or whatever it was called, right? But they're not banning Chinese. They're not banning other foreign
It's
languages. They're
always
not banning
us.
any of that, right?
Yes. Yes.
But you got to remember, it's not shedding a light on how people were treated, how blacks were treated as non-human. That's what
Mm-hmm.
they want to show. That's just my opinion. I am no expert, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I am black and I am proud, and
Mm-hmm.
I take initiative for change in any capacity that I can. I take
Yes.
initiative for change. I look for solutions. Let's not keep talking about it. We keep having these conversations, but what
Right.
are we as a people doing
Doing.
about it, right?
Yeah.
That doesn't mean only us. Don't get me wrong. What I'm saying is, if we want change, we have to be about the
We have to
change.
change ourselves, and I think
Exactly.
we are both doing that. Well, I'll speak for myself. I think you spoke on it about how you buy the books you bought for your grandchildren for Easter. I do the same thing when it comes to Christmas, and and sometimes the kids look at me like I got two heads, like they don't want a book, but I need you to read this book. I have my 12-year-old granddaughter who loves to read, and she's into, and I'm not even sure of the series of books that she likes to read. But right now, I'm not letting her do that because I can't, she has a mom and a
Right,
dad,
right, right.
but I encourage it. So when she says, "Oh, I finished these series of 6 or 7 books, could you get me the next series?" I do not have a problem doing that, you know
Exactly.
and I don't want to
Exactly.
just, I have grandsons too, and I buy books that pertain to them as young black
Right.
men getting,
Right. And there's so
growing
many
up,
now too.
stuff to
There's
influence
so
them.
many.
Yes, there
You know
is.
what I mean?
There
There
is.
was what was the book? There was a book, the list. Let me see. I was really surprised at some of these books
That were
because
banned.
yeah, because there
Oh
were
yeah,
let
there's a
me
list.
see.
There's a huge list.
The list is crazy. So we were looking at it yesterday. It was a teenage list. It was a list on teenagers and like bullying and something else. I forget what I can't find it now. I had it in front of
I mean,
me
I'm just
earlier
looking
today.
here, and there is a plethora of books. Like some of them
Hmm.
are about religion, some of them about it, just different stuff. I can't even say what the titles are, but it's just like, what inside of those books did you sit down and read the entire book, or did you know what it contained, from reading the back of
Right.
the book to
Yeah.
say,
What
hey, we need
qualified
to take
them to
these.
be banned? That's a
Yes,
good question.
yes.
What qualified them? What was the qualifications for the people to add these to their list? That's what I
Yes,
want to know.
it does. There is no qualification. That's the qualification. Like, there's no answer to that question that would pacify me at this moment. I
Right.
was also reading on the internet where there was this teacher of color where this started, and this was in Florida, where this started to happen. And him and his wife went and purchased $15,000 worth of books and just gave those books that they were banning out to people, out to
Nice.
young children, out
Nice.
because
See,
you just are
that's
not
it.
going to
They
do
did
this.
something
Yes,
that
they're
they can
giving something
do,
back.
but yes, they
Every little bit
utilize what
helps.
they can do through their capacity of what they can do, and they did it.
Yep.
You
Yes.
know what I mean? That's
Yes.
the whole thing. And so when we think about back in the day, that documentary that we had for our city that was done back in the 90s, and they talked about the civil organizations and things, and the civil organizations, the different after school programs, the different hubs and community houses where they did tutoring and they taught about
Mm-hmm.
all of the different things, and wasn't just for just African American, but they taught them that, right? And when you sit and you think about, you know, why are we hated so much still today? I don't
Right.
understand that. I really don't
No.
understand. I mean, it's heartbreaking to even think about it, right? Why are we still so hated? Now, segregation was what it was. Desegregation was what it was, right? But during segregation, they didn't want us to prosper. They didn't want us, whoever
They
they
didn't want us
are.
to grow. They
You
didn't.
want us
Yeah,
to grow.
exactly.
And
They
and
didn't want us to
still,
grow.
right. The thing is, we circumvent anyway because we are the
Yes.
most powerful people out here, right?
Yes.
That's just my thought. Okay. And
I'll second that. I'll second that.
right. And the thing about it is I'm so glad they're like in these last few years, the new businesses that have been birthed during this era, these last couple of
Time.
years,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Yep.
Yes. Yes.
And how we are taking us by the bullhorn. There's so many different children's books now that are out there that
Yes.
are about
Yes.
our hair, about our
Hmm.
skin color and all of that.
I just
And
bought one too, Shawne, not to interrupt you, about finances for the kids.
okay, okay, you got
I'm
to
not
share
gonna
that,
say his name, but
right?
yeah, he did a book, an African American man, and he did finances on teaching your children how to save their money so that they're financially set. So they're not
Right,
always looking back or needing to depend on mom, dad, grandma, or whatever. And
right,
it does. It starts at home. Like I tell my grandchildren all the time, told my children, open up their little bank account. Now, was I diligent with it? No. Should I have been? Yes, a little bit more. But I tell them, here, I'm giving you $20. Take 10 and put it in the bank.
yeah,
So like you said, that education, it does start at home. And I don't want people to think that our conversation is, oh my God, leave us alone.
no, not at all.
All the books that we're talking about are affecting our children. It's not
Yes,
just about race. I'm sitting here looking, it's about gay and lesbians. It's about censorship of just backlash to African Americans, transgender. All of that rolls into, because we're a part of all of that. We are
right,
one
and it's
race, but we're
happening.
all incorporated to
Right,
that.
it's
So
happening.
you're hitting us triple time, 5 times, because we fall into the realm of that circle, because we fit in all of
Right.
those areas that you're trying to say, shut this down. We don't want to talk about this because what? Because what?
Why?
Are you
Why?
ashamed of our history, Americans? Are you ashamed of how you've treated your people? And like you said, and today you are still trying to, we
Yep.
could talk
Suppress
about
us.
a lots of stuff that how they do,
Suppressing.
we can go somewhere
But
else. We can go somewhere else right now, but I'm not going to. But
but
we
no,
see
we're
it
not gonna
every
go there.
single
Right.
day. We
Right.
see it every single day. So this is why it's very important, not just for us to be having this conversation, us to have this conversation with our children to continue buy books and things, not just us as grandparents, not just us as aunties. Buy a book. Next time you're
Period.
doing a Christmas drive, you're going to somebody's birthday party. Shy did her baby shower. We gave books for the baby. You understand what I'm saying?
Hmm.
That's
Hmm.
so important. And I'm a big advocate of signing and dating your book, because that goes to
Yes,
show
me
you how
too.
long that book has traveled and has been around. And I just thought about this, but sign it as you pass it on. Because sometimes you grow out of stuff and you read things 2 and 3 times and you just want to pass something on. Sign it. I
Right.
gifted you a
Right.
book 2012. You gifted it to the next person and you sign and date it. I find that to be very interesting too, because then you
Right.
see
Right.
this book is still around. We are still educating ourselves, years and years later, which we know is happening. But again, that's our history. Show it,
Yeah.
you
Show it.
know,
But
show it.
but back to and getting back to that, and I'm just gonna beat it. I'm just gonna beat a dead horse, I guess, right? Or you can't beat it. I'm trying not to put it that way, because beating a dead horse means nothing's gonna be done. But no, that's not it. I'm hoping that whoever's listening to this really does find something that they can do for their community, children,
Hmm.
grandchildren, nieces, nephews, other kids in the area, um, college kids or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Whatever.
How
It
can
doesn't.
we
It doesn't.
make sure that this does not spread around the world? We're
Exactly, because it
banning it,
will. If we
right?
don't pay attention, it
How
can
do
come right
we,
here to
in our
Connecticut.
own
It can go,
little,
yes.
yeah, in our own little circle? I always say, no, I don't. I travel, yes. But I traveled the world? No. Do I know everything? No. Um, am I passionate about a lot of things? Yes. Am I passionate about ourselves and like us and how we do things and how we make
Right.
sure that our
Yes,
people,
for sure. For
for
sure.
sure, right?
Yeah.
But it still goes back to way back. What did we do? We took initiative on our own. We didn't get sidetracked, and distracted by that over there. All right, well, let that happen over there. What are we going to do over here? That's my
we have to
question
stay
to
focused.
those that
We
are
just have to
listening.
stay focused.
Mm-hmm. That's my question. What are you going to do, and how are you going to do it? And I hope you guys can, join in this conversation. Join in this conversation with just whatever comments you have. If you don't have a good comment, then I would really recommend that you go to another channel, because this is about empowering.
When you
This is about empowering. I'm sorry, I'm
but
not
we're gonna
accepting.
take the good. But we're gonna take the good with the bad. So when you say a bad comment, it means they just don't agree with certain things we may be saying, but maybe they have
There's a difference.
alternatives.
There's a difference in not agreeing and a bad comment. There's a difference.
Yeah,
People
but
know what
we're
they
gonna
writing
get
when they
those.
writing it.
Yeah,
Right. There's
yeah.
a difference. Whoever
You're
I'm
right.
saying that to, they know exactly who they are, and I'm not
Right.
interested.
There you go.
You know
Point
what I
blank.
mean?
Period.
Right.
All right. You're right. You're
No,
right.
because really, I get furious about this, because I had this conversation with one of my clients, and she says, we gotta fight them and this, and all I kept saying is, why do we want to keep forcing
Why do we
ourselves
have to keep
somewhere that
fighting?
they don't want us?
Yes.
Why?
Yes.
We can circumvent around this. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? I said,
I
you are
agree.
getting sidetracked. You go ahead down there and protest against those people that don't care nothing about you or the people that you bring around.
Mm-hmm.
In the meantime, I'm over here with these people, like you said, the lady,
Building
the
my
husband
own
that
building.
bought all those books and started passing them around. And,
Yes.
whoever else
Yes.
is like, you know what, we're going to start educating our kids with this, that, and the other. I mean, I know someone also that started a co-op for homeschooling, and I forget where she lives, but she started a co-op for homeschooling. That's another way right there. Start, coming together with your neighbors or whatever, and just do
Yes.
a book club. You could do a book club with the kids,
There you
but
go. There you
include
go.
include the adults. And these are the books that you guys are gonna read. And then I know for me and my kids, when they were younger, I read the books to them. And the other thing I did, you could ask my son, because he brings it up all the time. When they were in grammar school, and they went to a Catholic school, right? Now the school was kind of diverse, not diverse enough, but it didn't matter to me. Academically, they were good with my kids, whatever. But what I
Okay.
did is I went into their classroom, especially Black History Month, and then they had business. They had a entrepreneurship day and things like that, and
Okay.
they let the parents come in, and we read to the kids or explained to the kids who we were as our profession and things like that. That's what I did. And I went
Mm-hmm.
to I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna shout it out. The Black Wax Museum in Baltimore. When my kids were in kindergarten, first grade and fourth grade. They were in first grade and fourth grade. Went to the Wax Museum in Baltimore, and I bought the books that were age appropriate for their grade. And when I came back, I read it to their classes. And one of the teachers was like, "Where did you get these books?" And I gave her those books.
There you
And so
go.
I said, I hope you read these every year, or read these often, or let the kids read them. They were coloring books that talked about, one of them was about uh, Black women inventors.
Yeah.
And it was a coloring book, because it was only for like first grade. It was a coloring book. But let me tell you, those stories in there. And Kyle says it best. Kyle's like, my mom would come in there and read us, so that's what I did. I read those
Yeah.
books. I, went in there, and they had an open door policy. So I was able to go whenever I wanted to. And I did it more than once in a year. I didn't do it just Black History Month,
Right.
and then when they
And
had
that's what we
career
have to
day.
remember, though. That's another thing.
Exactly.
It's not only about February. We get,
Exactly.
and we have a lot of things going on. We educate more, a little bit more. We have, events, but it's all year
Oh
for the
yeah.
rest of their
Yep.
life that we have
Yep.
to educate them.
Yep.
That
365.
explains what you
What
said
did they
about the.
say? Black history is 365.
It is. It's just not, February. And you said something too, and I have the book, but I can't show it. I I was in a store and I seen excuse me, I seen a coloring book of color. I don't know if I've ever seen one.
Oh,
And
I've
what I
had.
mean by, yeah, I
Mhm.
bought that book so fast. I think I might have bought two, and I don't even know why I
Mhm.
bought two. But just because, these are things when you see them. Unfortunately, I when I find those things and I find them to be rare. Why?
Right.
I'm hoping because I'm the last one that got, the last few, you know. But I think sometimes it's a limited edition, and then you don't see
Okay.
them again.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I don't know. I don't know which way is true. I don't know,
Right.
if I'm wrong or right about what I'm saying. But when you see those things, you have to buy it. Another
Right.
thing too, when we're talking about books that have been banned, teaching about our history, teaching about our culture, our race, not necessarily are those books written by Black authors either. So
Right.
I want to emphasize that this is not about,
Black and white.
just our Black authors
Right.
either,
Right.
because, you can look at some of the titles that you have, and they're not all people of color that have written those books, but they are
Mhm.
about our history one way or another. So
Mhm.
we do have to educate. We do have to expand our kids' knowledge, because if not us, then who? At the end of the day,
Then
you have to.
exactly.
When I used to come home from school, my mother and father would say, "What you learned today?" And I dare not say nothing.
Nothing. Right.
How dare you? Wait a minute. What do you mean you learn nothing? You learn quick. You don't go in the house and say that, because you went to school to learn. So they were reinforcing there, trying to educate you there. Let me see what you were taught today. I know, maybe they were trying to see even if it meant anything. Or, what were they teaching us? Was it
Right.
beneficial? I don't know.
Right.
But you have to also communicate with your children and let them know it's okay. It's okay. Don't be ashamed to have that book of color. Don't be ashamed
Exactly.
that you're not reading the same titles, like you said, that may be the hot topic this
Right.
month. You don't have
Right.
to do what everybody else is doing. And do not be ashamed of who you are. Do not be ashamed of your history, or to talk about it.
Or
You
to
don't have
talk
to be,
about.
oh, I want to say whatever, but I knew, they would look at me funny or shun me. That's
Right.
their problem, not yours.
Exactly.
Not yours.
Exactly.
So we do have to, reinforce our children, uplift our children, let them know that they are just as smart, if not smarter, than
Right.
the person sitting next to them.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know,
Absolutely.
so
Absolutely. I think we have a title for this. If not us, then who?
there you go.
Banned books. We're gonna put banned books. If not us, then who?
Yes,
You
exactly.
know, because it really that's the ultimate question. That is the
Hmm.
ultimate question. It really
Right.
is.
We
You
can't leave it
know,
up to somebody else to educate. You're right.
no,
They go to school for a certain amount of days. I mean, Monday through Friday, certain, core hours, but it doesn't stop there. It doesn't begin there. You said, you start learning at home, but I think it starts in the womb. I remember with my
it does.
oldest, I used to walk up and down the street and tell him, this is a flower, or this is a daffodil, or this is a
Mhm.
building and it's brick. I swear I used to talk to him like that
Yeah,
when he was in
I
my
used to
womb,
read
because
books while
yeah,
they were in
because
my
and they
womb.
say to do
Yep,
that, letting them hear
yep,
your voice,
exactly.
the father's voice, So it starts soon as you can see.
Inception,
Yes,
inception. It
yes.
starts
So
from inception.
we need to start educating, and we need to get back to that. We need to think of things or ways that we could give back, you and I, to the community itself too.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to be nothing astronomical, because every little thing matters. And
Hmm.
again, it
Hmm.
is about books. It's about educating our children. You said something earlier. I don't know the last time I've been into a library, so maybe that's what I need to do. Go down there to a library, take my grandchildren, or one of my, a few of my grandchildren and their friends, to show them
Hmm.
what it is to be in a
Hmm.
library and how to look up a book. Somebody's going to say why. They have their phones, they have their computers or whatever, but why not?
Why
Why not
not?
show them how, what,
And if
there you
right,
go again, not educating, and them not knowing even what a library is. You know what I'm saying? We went to the
exactly,
library in school. I'm
exactly.
curious to know how often they even go to the library in school.
Right, right, right.
I don't know. And that's bad on me, because I need to have that conversation with the kids to see. But, we that was a requirement back in the day when I
That
was
was
in
a
school.
requirement. Yep, a library card was definitely a requirement. Yeah.
Going in there
I
and
think,
knowing how to use it, though. They got to know how to
right,
use it. You
showing
just
them
couldn't walk in the
exactly.
library, so there's a
Exactly.
process to it.
Yep.
So again, we
Yep.
have to educate. We do. We got to get
And I
back
wonder if my
to,
granddaughter, I wonder, because their mom is an avid reader. Definitely. She's an avid reader. So they
nice.
have books. They read all the time. And that's why it's easy for me to just buy them books and stuff like that, because I
Okay.
know they'll read them. You know what I mean? Even with puzzles. So I bought my 5-year-old granddaughter a puzzle about the states and the capital, you know.
Okay.
And so I gave it to her yesterday. And so she looks forward to doing puzzles, you know what I mean? But it's an
Nice.
educational
Nice.
puzzle. So, there are some things that we can do, even if it's minuscule,
Yes.
on our part, right? With who's the closest to us right now. You know what I mean? Our
Hmm.
grandkids, our nieces, our nephews, all of that.
It
It's
starts
it's
there,
up
but
to
I
us.
think we need to expand it. It starts there, but we still need to expand it, because if we don't expand it, this whole conversation means nothing, as far
Right,
as the books being banned, and that's what we're trying to say, we don't stop banning our books, stop telling us that we don't need our history, stop telling us this is not going on anymore and we're past that, because we know that it's not true at the end of the
right,
day. But
right,
also, we need to educate outside of the realm of our children, our nieces, our nephews, our grandchildren.
right,
Your
right.
grandmother did it all the time. Your
She
grandmother did
did.
it all the time.
She sure did. She had
So
kids with
that,
her all the time. I just met somebody the other
yes.
day that I mentioned. I said, "Oh, my grandmother used to live on Arion Street." And she said, "Who's your grandmother?" And I told her. She says, "Oh my God, Miss Pearson, she was this and that." I mean, she just went crazy. And she was talking about the community house that's right there on the corner, Walnut and Arion. And she's like, "I was one of the first kids in the new building, and this and that, and your grandmother." She just went on. She just
Yeah.
went on.
See,
And
she has
so
memories of that.
that exactly. So
That's
going
what you want to
back to that,
create.
yeah, creating that. Yes, absolutely. While I was there, I'm glad we're having this conversation, because you're making me think of some ideas of how we can partner with them even more in different ways. But this conversation was excellent. Loved it, loved it, loved it. I hope someone listening to this, if you're just as furious as I am,
Yes.
okay, about them wanting to just basically,
Ban our
they
books.
can't erase our history. They can't. That
No,
can't happen anyway.
no.
But but it's up to us to continue the conversation,
Education.
teaching
Yep.
and
In the
educating,
education.
yes,
Yes.
on it, and what we do know, and what we and even what is it? What's the name of the book? I'm not gonna say the name of the book, but the documentary on this particular book is also on their band. And when you watch this documentary, 1619 is the name of the documentary. When you watch it,
That's one of the
I
books
saw
that's on
that.
the ban list.
Yeah, I saw that, and it was great. And it did not, it, how can I put it? What I got from it, it just still depicted how resilient we are. You know what I mean? Yes, it talked
Yes.
about racism. Yes, it talked about how, people were ostracized and killed and all of that. It talked about that. But that's not what stuck in my head. What stuck in my head, the resilience
Right. Right.
of these
Right.
people and what they did in their area, where they lived. So she went to different parts
Mm-hmm.
of the country and where they lived, and the history of how they came about what they're known for in that
How
area.
they
I mean,
taught
it was
themselves, but how
right,
they taught themselves, how they persevered,
right. That's what
being,
stuck with me.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
That's what stuck with me. So this conversation can keep going. I hope we get some responses from this. I hope
Yes,
that,
I hope so too. I hope so too.
people start to share the things that they may be doing in their area that could spark something for us to get started. I'm hoping that this conversation doesn't go on deaf ears. I want this conversation to really, like you said,
Resonate with
open up.
people, open up
Yes,
some doors and some conversations,
exactly,
not just with you and I. It starts here, but it expands. Talk about it
exactly.
at the dinner table with your friends and your family, your neighbors, and say, hey. And sometimes people don't even know what's going on. So
And let
hopefully,
me
like you
tell you,
said,
Yeah, I
We
probably wouldn't
sparked
know
something.
if my clients weren't talking to me because I don't watch the news. I know I may not should I probably shouldn't say that, but that's the truth. I don't really watch the news.
No, I hear a lot of people say that, but I think once in a while you got to take a peek because some stuff will slip by you, and this is how these things slip by us. You
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
know,
Yep,
this is how these things slip by us. So we do, it's a good thing that people are talking. So we got to keep talking, and once in a
yes.
while we got to turn on that news and
Okay,
get the
right.
latest.
Yes. Let's keep talking. Share this
Yes.
episode, follow us, and click the like button, and let's just
Positive
keep.
comments, like Shawne said.
Yes,
Positive comments.
I'm not interested in anything negative whatsoever. I mean,
Yes.
if you have a
Suggestions.
right, if you have a where they say you're playing devil's advocate, something like that, I'm open to a discussion. Because not
Exactly.
everybody feels the way I
Exactly.
feel, or the way you feel. Not everybody feels that way.
Mm-hmm.
But
And we don't have all the answers, so we're open to listen. Like you said,
I only
to positivity.
exactly,
We're open to listen.
exactly. All right. Thank you, Trey.
Thank you,
I can't
Shawne.
wait to be, out there so we can get some comments. I'm excited. I'm excited about
Yes,
this. I'm
ma'am.
excited about this.
Yes.
So, like I said, you all like, share, and follow and comment. And I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation for solution.
Definitely.
For
Yes. And
solution.
hopefully we'll have an update, Shawne and I, of something we did that we gave back.
Right.
And I'm talking about outside the realms of our family, because it's easy to give back to family. It's easy to help somebody you already know that we've
Yep.
been helping already. And I don't mean helping, just educating our children and grandchildren. So hopefully
Right.
next time we have this conversation, the second part or the addition to, we could tell you what we did to kind of give back to
Yes.
our community.
Awesome. All righty. Thank you, guys.
All right. Have a good